Fam, what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We are sitting down here and having another really cool Mindset Monday episode. One of the things that bubbled up this morning was the idea of confidence, right? So we're going to break that down. I'm sitting down here with my good friend, good brother from another mother, Justin Thorstad. Dun, 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 dun.
All right.
How was that?
I'll take it. Yeah, man. Good.
How was that?
Yeah, well
That's
done.
an original, by the way.
It is. I haven't heard
It
that
took
one.
a lot of confidence to put that together on the fly.
Right?
If that's not a showcase of confidence, I don't know what is.
You got me.
I'm telling you. So let's break it down. As entrepreneurs, we always go through the process of questioning ourselves, right? We see a lot of things. We see, like, there's always shiny object syndrome that's going around. If you've been in the let's say in the journey of entrepreneurship for at least a month, your mind is scrambled. Like, there's so many different things that become noise, right?
Yeah.
To the day-to-day stuff that we do. And that can hit our confidence levels. A lot of it, it's a lack of clarity becomes an issue. And then as we start just kind of plowing through the motions, through the actions, and trying to climb the ladders, we find challenges, right? And that inevitably breaks the mindset to a degree. And confidence can be like, unfortunately, I think it can be a very brittle thing, right? In an entrepreneur's life. Every time you level up, you have to come in and rebuild the confidence. I was reading a book, and a really good analogy about it was confidence is like the you kind of like the retainer walls by the sea, right? Every so often, you're gonna build it up, but every so often you have to come in and then strengthen the thing, right?
Fortify.
Fortify it so it doesn't break, when a storm comes in. And sometimes we have storms as entrepreneurs. So it's the idea of holding on to that confidence that we have as individuals, as human beings, can almost be a job, a task on its own.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I get a little bit of a different relationship with it. Yeah. And because, not only that, but what really I think erodes people's confidence is comparison shopping.
Yeah.
Right? They take a look at themselves and their results, and they compare it to somebody that's been in the game longer. They've, by a decade or more, they've got a lot of success, and they're like, well, I'm not there, so clearly I'm not enough, and it just validates the bullshit story of I'm not confident because I don't have the results. And so, anyways, I think it's important to start off with a point B, where are we going with what it means to be confident, to paint a picture of that. Because I'll tell you, yeah, man, I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's not a matter of if you're going to become into a state of being where you're questioning your confidence. It's a matter of when. It's going to happen, right? But I'll tell you, point B for me is where I am today of if I feel not confident and I notice that, it's really a good thing. Because I get to check in with, okay, what's going on? What's the old story playing? And maybe I'm starting off on a new venture or a new partnership, or something's new and it's unpredictable. It's unknown. And so it can be a little scary. And it's yes, that's it. That's the state. Because that means I'm going into uncharted territory. I've never been here before. I don't know what to predict for, plan for. And it's that's when you feel the most alive. That's the adventure. That's the spontaneity of it all. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. And besides, if you did know what to expect next, it's because you've already experienced that before. And if you've already experienced that before, you're operating from the past. There's no new information. It's just mundane. And so not being confident, oh shit, I don't know what's going to happen next. It's that's the zest of life, man.
I agree with it, right? I also feel that's chapter 7, chapter 8. It's easy to get lost in the lack of confidence at the beginning, right? Once we have some practice with it and we understand ourselves, and okay, cool. This is, I remember at one point, this is maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I mapped out my emotional cycle. So I sat there and I thought, for a period of 6 months, I kept I kept.
Oh, that's right. You told me.
Yeah, you saw it, didn't you?
I think so.
I thought I should. But anyways, I mapped out my emotional cycle. Like, what happens when I get a new idea, right? And I started picking up the patterns. Anytime I had a new idea or was gonna jump in a new venture, or into an adventure or something new, right? What was I feeling then? And then I realized, okay, I'm like, I get super euphoric. Like, I get, extremely positive and, optimistic about like the outcomes to a very unrealistic, point, right?
Yeah.
It's like, shit, this thing's going to take off.
Oh,
I'm not even going to talk to you in 2 weeks. I'm going to be a bazillionaire. And I'm going to buy myself some new friends, but I wouldn't.
Really? You think that shit, bro? Damn.
Listen, just wait for that crypto coin that I'm working on to land. I'm not bashing crypto. I don't know, maybe a little bit. I just don't understand it. But no, it's so anyways, the emotional cycle for me is there. Like, I get euphoric and I get super optimistic. And then I kept tracking, like what would happen. And whenever I get hit, like with the first challenge, I start getting a little realistic, right? And then if they pile on, my drive starts to diminish. So I started kind of mapping out the way that I feel, right, throughout any emotional cycle, any change, right, any major change. The crazy thing is that once you understand how you process info, you can kind of see it. Like, okay, cool, this is good, but I know myself. I'm gonna get super excited, super positive, super unrealistic about this thing. I gotta pump my brakes a little bit. Just keep it civil, right? Because if something happens, I know that I'm gonna feel like I want to lose I'm gonna lose the drive and throw everything out the window and everything. Like, that's not smart either. So it's what that created. Like, what I'm getting to here is, at the beginning, I always begin with a high sense of confidence behind things.
Sure.
I realized it wasn't necessarily confidence; it was euphoria, right? It's like it's the drive of the new thing, the new shiny object.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase.
Yes. Oh, this is great. I think confidence, gets through the thick, right? When you start getting challenged, when you start getting or seeing things that you don't understand, that perhaps you haven't experienced in the past. You break down, and your confidence is what picks you back up.
Yeah, when you're being tested.
Yeah,
that's interesting, man. That's really cool that you took the time and had the awareness to document that. For myself, when I start off, very much the same, starting off like the euphoria, right? And because it's exciting about thinking about the infinite possibilities, like what could happen, like what are the potentials. And I think without that, we probably would never get started, you know? And so, however, inevitably, the obstacles come up, the unforeseen, the unpredictable circumstances that are not so desirable. And for me, though, I really like that process because it's the most stimulating. It's the most engaging. You've got to be resourceful, right? And so I think I'll at least speak for myself. When I'm talking about confidence, I'm talking about, like, I may not be confident in the venture itself of like my skill set or my strategy, because what the hell do I know if I've never done it before? Yeah. But I'm confident in myself and my ability to be resourceful and like no quit attitude. Like, I'm not going to quit. It doesn't exist in my awareness. And so if I commit that this is going to be a thing, I'm going to go until it is. So confidence in myself, not necessarily in my skill set or strategy or direction per se, because that's all subject to change.
One thing that I see hold us back a lot too is is waiting to read that confidence, or waiting to listen to a podcast and get that confidence to take action. Yeah. And I think a great point to make is that the action precedes confidence.
100%. Like
it's
we both coach entrepreneurs, right? And I think I can speak for both of us. Like the vast majority of students, let's say, they want coaching, they want some guidance. They think, okay, well, when I'm confident because I've done a lot of education, then I'll get into action. It's like, no. That's not how it works. Yeah. Confidence is a derivative. It's derived from taking action and having the experience. Yeah. You didn't die, and maybe you made some mistakes, but now you're going to learn from that. You're going to sharpen your skill set, and you're going to fortify yourself and move forward. Like, you cannot have confidence without taking the action and having the experience. Like, because you really don't know what the hell you're talking about. What's there to be confident about?
Yeah, and it's easy to walk around life like just being afraid of everything, being afraid of making the wrong moves. One of my old captains used to say, "It builds thicker skin." Like anytime I came around something that was fucked up, it just builds thicker skin, builds thicker
Absolutely.
skin.
Yeah.
Shout out to Martin. And I remember he would always say that, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's we get placed in scenarios where we have to show up, right? And we did a whole episode of about showing up.
Yeah.
Now the the ability to put yourself in a space like that, it's not gonna come without some type of desire behind it. The desire is not necessarily going to be, a confident action, right? But at the end of the day, like, how bad do you want the things that you're looking at, right? If is a thing such as confidence stopping you from taking that step forward? Is it stopping you? I mean, for example, for us, we were talking about pushing the message, right? For us to push the message, we have to be loud about what we do. If we're not loud about what we do, nobody's going to listen, right? And what happens?
Nobody
Our
will
purpose just kind of shatters because nobody listens. We're not making a ripple effect. So in that, like, it's easy to get be afraid of everything, but I feel like confidence is one of those things that that we start to build up just like when we go to the gym, right? It's you have to practice at it. You have to show up every single time, and then it's not gonna. You're gonna be terrified. Like, I still get nervous when I do public speaking events.
Sure.
Up until the very last second. The definition. I feel like the definition that I like the most about confidence is a sense of certainty about your ability that allows you to bypass conscious thought. So you become so proficient or so you practice something so often that you're able to just roll with it, and not that you're a master at it or anything, but you feel like, okay, cool, I got this, I'm gonna figure this out. You said it. At this point, I feel like we're proficient at entrepreneurship, right? Not masters by any means.
No.
But proficient. So anything that comes at you, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's where the confidence comes in. You're able to bypass that conscious fear that we sometimes build in front of us and becomes a wall.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but again, where did that come from? It was generated. It was cultivated, right? What?
Yeah.
From like taking action and having an experience and knowing that, like, you're going to figure it out if you don't quit, right?
Yeah.
If you just keep going long enough, eventually you're going to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, nothing can stop you if you're not willing to quit.
Yeah.
And so
you're already
moving
walking
forward,
in that direction.
Yeah. Like, why the hell would you stop? Because you didn't get what you want when you thought you would have it?
Yeah.
Like, everything takes longer than you think. Everything. You know what I mean? And the results, when they don't come in the quantities that you initially thought when you were in the euphoria stage of creation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's going to take longer.
You're not going to buy new friends.
No, you're not. I mean, you could, but those aren't friends. So, like, it's funny to me when people quit because they're not confident, right? Like, I'm not getting what I want. I don't see the results. And besides, I don't really know what I'm doing and I'm not confident, so I'm going to quit. I'm going to throw in the towel. It's like, you'll always do that then with everything that you start. Like, it's just a mode of operation. And, man, it's just such a simple concept. And I don't understand why more people don't practice that, exercise it, because that's what it is. It's a faculty. It's like a muscle. You got to go to the gym to work it out if you want it to get bigger and stronger, right? Just like your internal state. You got to confront what's going on the inside and move forward. Like, it's that simple. Not that easy, but it's that simple.
Yeah, it's something that can be, let's say, deployed and you can reach, into that toolbox and, pull it out of there whenever you need it, right? Now, understand this too. Confidence is very situational. You can be super confident at, I don't know, sports, at, something, right? But whenever it comes to, like, compare sports and social interaction. Okay. You can be very confident one and super, like, insecure and awkward at the other one, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's confidence doesn't come at a like, one size fits all, level. I like, we have to build confidence in those areas that we deem worthy of practice. We deem worthy of okay, cool, I want to get better at this. And the crazy thing, like, I feel like I'm one of my things that I feel like I'm pretty confident about is Q&A. If you put me in a room and then you have a bunch of people just throw questions at me,
Yeah.
I feel like I own that, right? Like I'm swimming in my lane.
Yeah.
Q&A. Of course, if you ask me about, I don't know, like, you know, rocket science, like I'm not gonna answer anything, right? But you know, talk to me about psychology, entrepreneurship, real estate. You know,
Yeah.
my lanes,
Your
right?
lane.
Yeah, exactly. I feel pretty confident there because it's okay. I know the topic. I know the industry. I know what I do in it, and I feel pretty confident speaking about it.
Yeah.
Now, if you change the context, though, it like confidence goes out the window.
But
right? So don't like the point I'm trying to make is if you feel like you're lacking confidence in speaking to people, which is one of the most common ones, right? That we
It's
get.
the most feared thing.
Yeah, in having conversations with strangers, like you're not out there by yourself. You're not alone on that. Everybody, not everybody, but most people out there, you know, go through that pain. Like, man, it's gonna be awkward. Me just walking up to somebody else and then striking up a conversation, even if there's common interest where you can, you know, partner up or JV with somebody else, make money together, make business together. The fear of rejection is real, right? So it hits that confidence level. Again, you may be really, really good at one thing and super not confident in another area.
Yeah,
and it's like all of them take practice. So don't feel like you can't get better, like you can't improve, because the reality is totally different.
Yeah, and so public speaking, I think that's like one of the greatest fears people have, right?
Yeah.
That have never done it. It's like, can you show me one great speaker that the very first time they got on stage, they were confident?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't exist. Like, there's always that fear that comes up, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a process you can go through to mitigate it and have it subside quickly. However, if you're on stage and then someone throws you a curveball question about something off topic that has nothing to do with your lane, like, aren't you confident in just saying, like, what the fuck? I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Next. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
was listening to a podcast, and it's a really cool setting for the podcast. And one of the questions, so they'll pick up, you know, just general topics, right, and kind of link it back into real estate. And they started talking about, you know, defensive line of one of the, you know, football teams and everything. I watch football every now and then. I don't know the stats. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea, the players. I'm the guy that goes and screams because I have beer in my hand and they just scored.
yeah.
So the full disclosure, right? Don't hate me.
Yeah, no, I don't watch sports at all unless I go to a game. And
so it's you know, football it's like that, right? Every now and then I'll follow, you know, the team but I'm not tapped into it. So they asked the question. It was very specific. The other three guys, it was 4 of us in the podcast. The other 3 guys came back with really elaborate answers, and I was like, shit. I could have tried to bullshit my way through it, but my confidence was not there.
I would have confidently said, bro, you got way too much time on your hands.
No, so my answer to that is like, all right, you know what? I'm going to stick to what I know, and this is how I would address that thing. And I answered the question, right? But it had nothing. My answer had nothing to do with that football analogy.
Well done.
Because you know, my confidence is not there, and I feel like it's okay, right? If you don't feel confident about something, it's also okay to admit it to yourself, and be transparent about
That's confidence.
Yeah.
That not only to yourself but to everybody else. Like, yeah, I got no idea what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and people avoid that,
Yeah.
so they give some bullshit answer, right? They project something to make them not look stupid,
Yeah.
but in the process, you look stupid because that which you run from, you run into. You know what I mean? It's like, it's only awkward if you make it awkward.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, I used to be like that.
Me too.
Years ago, like, oh, I don't want to say that I don't know because then I'm I'm stupid.
So
but it's not the case.
No, I have this story. 8 years ago, I went and I staffed a men's leadership thing. That I went through it, and I went back and staffed. It was a way to kind of re-audit and go back through it again.
Yeah.
And the main facilitator guy, there was someone that did something in the staff that really pissed him off, and he had a moment. And, you know, he was giving the guy feedback. He was kind of heated. And then he looks over at me and he goes, "And you, Mr. Awkward." And I was like, oh, he knows. You know what I mean? It's like, no one ever
found me out.
Yeah, right? But I was awkward for X, Y, and Z reasons in that setting because I wasn't confident in myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a pivotal moment in my life, that awareness. So much, and I can go deep on that. But, yeah, the bottom line, I think it really is you acquire confidence by taking action. and you're never going to have it unless you do.
Yeah.
And so you just got to check in with what has me afraid, paralyzed, fearful of taking the action. Like, what is the worst case scenario that can happen? And when you articulate that in your imagination, because like you're probably full of shit, that's not going to happen, can you accept that as an end result?
Yeah.
The worst case scenario, like if that's what happens, can I accept that? And if the answer is no, you should probably go home, lock yourself inside, and never come out again. Like, because you can walk out your front
Live
door.
in a shell. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You can get in your car and go to the grocery store and boom, you get in a car accident and die.
Yeah.
Like, did you think about that and were you scared of it? No. It's just something you do, right? It's like, same thing with confidence. It's just something you do. It's something you are. It's a state of being.
Yeah, and and if you're an entrepreneur, you're putting yourself out there all the time.
But even if you're
Like,
an employee, nothing wrong with that. A 9 to 5, and you're like, I'm going to put in my 30 years and get a
you're right.
retirement. Like, that's risky because what if the company gets sold, goes bankrupt? Like, if you think it's risky to be an entrepreneur, wait until they hand you the bill of not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, man, there's risk in everything you do. And so, again, what are you risking? Like, the brain is defaulted to go to negative for survival. Like, it's just hardwired. It's part of our biology. But that was also like a serving mechanism 10,000 years ago when, you know, you walk out of the cave and there could be a saber-toothed tiger. Like, you don't know, right? So you got to be cautious. And the thing about it is, though, like, those same dangers don't exist in our reality. But the perceived danger of rejection, of being made fun of all those kinds of things, like, that's real in people's minds. And so you can focus on that, or you can focus on what could go right.
I'm gonna throw a crazy idea out there, right? It's not crazy, and I think it's very solid, but learn to learn. So bear with me here.
No, I follow you.
So if you understand how to learn, like there's actually trainings that you can go that will teach you how to learn, right? How to learn anything. Why? Because it's mental mind frames or mental frameworks. And you understand how to learn. You understand how to process information. Anytime you come across something new, it's like, okay, cool. Have this framework that I can follow that it's gonna help me as an individual to understand and better take the concept, right, and absorb it. So you go into it, and then you figure out if you're a visual learner, auditory learner, whatever, right? So you start to learn how to learn things. Learn how to get confident about any situation. So for me, for example, I think about it now, right? And I'll do some the first thing that I think about is, okay, why am I angsty? To me, angstiness, it's a big red flag.
Yeah.
Big red flag, right? It's not necessarily anxiety. It's not bad to the point where I'm, like sweating profusely and I can't think.
But you feel the energy.
Yeah, you feel exactly. You feel the energy. Like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why am I feeling angsty? Is it is it a fear of rejection? Is it me not having clarity over what's going to happen? Is it me trying to just over control everything? So I try to pinpoint, right?
Yeah.
But I learned how to diagnose why I'm not confident about something. And that helps a lot, man, because it's, I mean, if you put me in a social setting and I feel like I'm being awkward in that social setting, I'm gonna go through my process and ask myself my questions. It's like, all right, once I get clarity on those things, I start to tackle them out. And it sounds like a very pragmatic way, like almost like a checklist approach to figuring it out. But in my head, it was a lot easier to wrap my head around that. An actual process
Then sit and suffer.
Then say, I'm gonna take a deep breath and just be confident about things. I'm like, no, like, what am I missing here? Like, what's the big picture? Okay, what can I clarify, right? Why am I angsty? What kind of questions am I missing or answers am I missing that make me feel this way, right? What's my energy towards this person, that person, and then why? So it almost becomes this self-discovery conversation that we're having with ourselves, right? But it's important to understand, and I feel like it's going to be a different journey for everybody. Like, the stuff that makes me confident may not be the same thing that's going to help you get confident about any
Well,
topic.
I like your process, man. At least you got a strategy, right? Some people just sit there in the pain and the suffering and the struggle of it all, and like just forego to, well, that's the way it's always going to be. And it's like, for me, my process is a little different, and there's infinite ways people could go about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what I like about giving them examples, because at least they've got something to grab on and implement and test it out.
Yeah.
So for me, when I'm feeling not confident, let's say in that same setting, I just take a look at, okay, what is that feeling really? Like, what is my concern? Because it could only be a couple things for me, in my opinion, right? And I haven't had to do this in a long time. So, but basically I'm either comparing myself against them and I feel that I fall short. And that's a symptom of like, I'm not enough or worthy, deserving. Like there's something there that I perceive that I'm insufficient in comparison. But why would I compare myself to that person? Let's say they're in the same industry or the same field and they've got huge results and that's what I aspire to that I don't have yet. Cool. When did they start? Like what resources did they have in education and training and support that I didn't? Like why would you compare like your beginning or where you are in the process with someone that's already arrived? Do you know what I mean? Like it's not fair to you or anybody else for that matter. Like and they're not comparable. It's not apples to apples. Like besides, what has you focusing on comparing yourself against something or someone else when that has nothing to do with you?
Yeah.
And you're not in competition with each other. If you come from a state of mind of abundance, like there's plenty and more will be added. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, what's the deficiency or insufficiency or fault that I have in such a way that has me even questioning that?
Yeah, it's important to note too that it's not about the external, right? External. The situations are always going to change. You're always going to be challenged. You're always going to be put in hot water per se. And I feel like having, we talk about emotional intelligence. This is part of that equation.
100%.
This is part of that equation,
Yeah.
right? So, coming to grips with what's going on and at an intrinsic level. So from within, from your own mindset,
accepting it.
Yeah, and like we talk about surrendering to that to that energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not for the sake of just giving up and dying,
no,
but for the sake of understanding yourself to a clearer degree.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a big piece to that puzzle, right? We look for confidence. Why? Because we admire confident people. Like, oh, that person sounds very confident when they're talking. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably know their shit. They practiced that, 1,000 times.
Yeah.
They walk with confidence. Okay, that's that lane. Put that person in a whole different context. I guarantee you're gonna find, places where that person trips and falls all the time.
Oh, so without a doubt.
So this is and this is the thing, right? Like we'll take one of those lanes, one of those situations, and take it at cost and just kind of generalize confidence throughout. What I guess one of the biggest things that I want to highlight in this conversation is confidence. Again, it's going to be different in every single area of our lives, and it's
as it should be.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no.
It just is. We choose what to go deeper on, what to kind of pull back on the throttle on, and live.
Well, I'll say this: like if you see somebody that you admire, let's say, and one of the things you admire is their level of confidence. Like, good, because that means you're confident in yourself about something.
Yeah.
You have that point of reference, and that's how you can see it in somebody else.
Yeah.
Like if you had zero confidence whatsoever, you wouldn't be able to really articulate it and pinpoint it in others.
Yeah.
So they're a mirror. That's a really good thing. Okay, so if I think that person's confident and I admire them, what is it about me? Like what experience have I had as a point of reference, an anchor point, where I was confident? There's got to be something. There is something. I don't care what it is. Maybe it's in your ability to cook, or like how you're a steward of your finances, even if you don't have a lot of them, but you're confident about something, and it's probably a skill set, right? Great. We'll trace that back to how was I confident in myself in such a way to move forward with learning the skill set when I didn't have it? Do you know what I mean? Like if you can trace it back, you'll find time after time, situation after situation of points of reference where you were confident. And now when you start something new, why not start off from that frame of reference? Instead of what most people do is default to, well, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know anything about this. They're going to know. It's like, what are you doing in there besides causing a mess? And can't you get excited about not being confident? Like, I'm about to get some confidence because I'm going to move forward into action. I'm going to have a new experience.
I'm going to pour myself a
new
confidence
emotions.
cup.
Yeah, man. Like, and take a swig, pick up your skirt, and let's go. Like,
Wait,
there
what?
is.
Okay. So no, I get your point though.
So like look for things that you're not confident in and move forward until you are. Like, how the hell else are you going to get it? And start with confidence in self and your ability to be resourceful and try on new perspective and lenses in which you're viewing your reality instead of your biased, distorted filters. Like, look for areas to grow. It's a faculty because you can. You don't have to, but what the hell else are you doing? It's a better investment of your time. Watching sports.
You know, one hack, one confidence hack that I have, it's and this is going through years of you know, mindset work and all that stuff, right? Well, coaching with Al, one of the things that always came up was, you know, you're always gonna figure it out. You're always gonna figure
100%.
it out. You're always gonna figure it out. Like, think about it this way: up to this point, for your entire life, you've figured everything out. You're not dead.
Nope, you're here.
So you figured out how to put on your shoes this morning, how to drive to work. You figured out how to pay the rent, the mortgage, the, you know, whatever, how to eat yesterday. You figured that out. We're always gonna figure. So we have this crazy ability to figure things out, and I think a lot of times it just gets channeled in the wrong direction, right? It gets channeled into that victim mode, into that
Learned helplessness,
powerless mode. When the reality is that we have the ability, by just the default of life, to figure things out. We're always going to figure it out.
Yeah, 100%. I think all of us have these like latent gifts and talents.
Yeah.
And they're not realized until they're demanded of you.
Yeah.
Well, how are they going to be demanded of you if you don't interject yourself into a situation where it's going to be like, you're going to have to pull that out that you didn't even know was in there. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't put yourself in those sticky situations, like, you're just going to keep going through life the same.
And that's a really good point, right? Like, you don't know if it's in there. You don't know what's in there. Like, let it out.
Yeah.
So that whole thing, like, play it until what's the saying?
A little more context.
Yeah, no, it's when. Well, anyways, so the point I'm trying to make is you don't fake it till you make it. It's not fake it till you make it. So we hear that often, right? Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make
it's
it.
Like
fake
nails
it.
on a chalkboard.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I feel like it's a very shallow but useful idea at the beginning, right?
If that gets you in motion.
Listen, if it's going to get you in motion, fake it till you make it, right? I'm going to fake it till I make it. Fake it till I make it.
Can I elevate it, though?
Like, if you just switch that to, like, fake it in the sense of take action, get into it until you become it.
Or
it's really a game changer.
Let's edit that shit. How about be it until you see it? It's like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, Justin, because I don't feel like I'm it yet.
Yeah, okay.
But
so, yes.
That's the thing, is like, you gotta, it's like, okay, gentlemen, if you're watching, or ladies, either way, it's like a nice sport coat. You gotta try that shit on and know how it feels and how it looks in order to say yes or no, right?
Yeah.
Ladies, it's a pair of shoes. You gotta try them on. Yeah? So same thing, like, if you're starting something new, a new venture, learning new skill sets, whatever it is, like, before you get started, here's a way to build some confidence. Like, why don't you sit the fuck down and envision when I'm at the end result and I've mastered the thing? Like, how am I going to think about myself and the situation? How am I going to feel about this? And let me get a solid point of, like, let me conceptualize what that's going to be about, so that now every time I think about this, I'm going to remember that state of being. I'm going to be it. And that is the only way that I'm going to persevere and persist and see it through without quitting until I hit it. Like, be that person now as you start, so that you can realize the end result. Like, and it sounds difficult, it sounds challenging, but it's a lot easier than you think.
I agree with you. I think once you get into the groove of understanding that, that part of the equation, right? Like, it becomes a thing. Like, okay, cool, I'm gonna be it. I know that if I want success, I have to be success to get and reach and be
to stay.
Yeah, to stay there. Now, when we're going through it, and I don't know, man, like, but I don't know about you, but when I started getting into personal growth, this is over a decade ago. It's what, about 14 years ago. I felt like I was like, just, you know that scene from Matrix where you're getting, like, the guy's getting unplugged from the back and is, like, getting all the goo off his face and is, like, just all sticky and is coming out of this machine and everything. It kind of felt like that. All right.
A rebirth.
So yeah, it's like a rebirth. It really was. All right. So for example, the idea of being to me, it took me, you know, I want to say a couple of years for it to land, to understand it, right? So I feel like everything leads to that, right? Because we're in the state of being. I mean, that's it. Like, you're winning. Like, you won.
Totally. Yeah.
So to get into it though, like, one thing that kind of pushed me that way is like, you know what? It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like I should be recording the videos, because who am I to record videos and put my opinion out there? It doesn't feel like I should be the person coaching, because who am I to coach somebody else? Even though I'd already gone to the ringer, right? And it's like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna, all right, I'm gonna play the role of being this, you know, this person that records videos and puts himself out there. And then I feel like that to me was the thing that clicked. Why? Because I went in with the idea. I was like, you know, I don't understand it. It doesn't feel right. Fuck it. I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah.
And then it clicked, and that led to me just, you know, being in that space, and then not caring about the anything around it. Why? Because like the purpose was being fulfilled.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to start a new business, don't you sit down and articulate to yourself at least, like, what is the goal here? Like, for the sake of what am I doing this? What does the end result look like, feel like, quantifiably? Like, how do I know I've arrived there? And if you're going to do it with the results, like, don't you want to pay attention to the being that's going to create them? You know, or are you just like delusional? So same thing. So beingness, what is that? Your state, because we're human beings, right? So your state of being is nothing more than how you think and how you feel. It drives behavior, right? Naturally in alignment with it. But where does the predominant state that you have, that you carry around for the most part of the day, because we're changing through states all day. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
So, but the one you wake up with and it's your normal predominant state, where does that come from? Your belief systems, your self-image, like it's a servo mechanism. There's a setting and it keeps us on it and attracts any deviation. It kicks it back on track. So like when you say, okay, be it until you see it, then you got to sit down and articulate what is the end result of that state of being, that person, that version of me that would be able to create the end result tangibly in the business. So when you do that, you got to think about, okay, how would I think? How would I feel? And what's the belief I'd have to hold about myself? What's the self-image that would be conducive in such a way that would naturally drive behavior, targeted behavior, in alignment with that belief system that would produce the result? Do you know what I mean? Like, and if you have to listen to that over again, just hit, go back 10 seconds. But it's that simple. Yeah,
I get it. For me, it was a matter of modeling. I think I started modeling a lot of the behaviors that I knew that I wanted to have and to adopt, right?
Yeah.
And modeling led to like it really the first thing that modeling led to was imposter syndrome. That was the first fucking thing. Like first, I mean, 2 minutes into it, it's like, man, this thing feels off.
Yeah. Because the self-image is like, what the fuck? This is not me.
This is not me. Like, what am I doing? Like, I know this is something that I really want to do, but it's not me. I haven't done it before. Yeah. I don't know how I feel like through the camera. I don't know how if I sound smart, what if I sound stupid?
That's just the chatter of your inner roommate.
So many different things. Yeah. So to me, taking that leap, making that that progress at first from stagnation to actually taking action and doing something that was going to eventually lead to this feeling of confidence really was that, okay, I'm going to model this behavior, and then it's not necessarily mine yet. I'm just modeling the thing.
Yeah.
And then inevitably you synthesize it becomes your own, and now you're adopting, that level, that degree of behavior and performance, and then you just build up from that. And as you're building up, you're building your confidence as well.
You know, the really cool thing though about that process is like you're modeling that thing, right?
Yeah.
How you think, how you feel. And you're trying it on every day. In fact, multiple times a day, you probably have to remind yourself, yeah? And there's a moment in time when you're just walking around and it hits you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I am that state of being. Yeah. And I no longer have to think about it. It's a habit. And it's a really cool feeling. And it's like, that's the juice. Because when you have that awareness, like, I did it. I'm that's just who I am now.
Yep.
You can do it with anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a formula. Like
you understand the framework. You understand your framework.
And you can no longer be a victim.
Yeah. So if you're listening out there, ask yourself the question, like, why are you feeling a lack of confidence in certain areas, right? If you are, which you probably are. If you're saying you're not, you're probably bullshitting yourself. But there's always a lack of confidence. You're not paying attention. You're not playing big enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting yourself out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's my take on that. But ask yourself, right? Like, what's giving me this uneasiness of things, and address that issue, right? Be honest with yourself. Understand that confidence is not a one-size-fits-all. You're going to get confidence in one area. I mean, I see people gaining confidence progressively at the gym. Man, that makes me feel so good, bro. I'm at the gym every single morning, right? And then sometimes you see people that will come in for 3-4 days straight, and they lift and whatnot, and then they don't show up until 2 months later and whatnot.
You mean like January through mid-February?
Yeah, exactly. So the peaks, right?
Yeah.
And then you have other people that come in, and then you see them like just kind of figuring out the workouts at the beginning, and then going and lifting, working out, in whatever their capacity is. And then months go by, and then they turn into total beasts. Like, they didn't have confidence before. Now they're posting, they're talking to their friends, they're telling everybody what the new drug is. It's working out, and they're confident about it. You know what I mean? And that's the exact same thing that we need to understand about the concept of confidence. It's not one size fits all. You are going to have to build your confidence in different lanes. Jumping into entrepreneurship is no different. You can't be a quitter, though. Yeah. You can't be a quitter. Every time, if you stop growing your confidence in an area that you feel that you need to be confident on, you're failing yourself.
Yeah. Well, and I guess my final thought on this to wrap it up is, a lot of people think that the point of life is to reach a destination or attainment or achievement, but really, man, the entire purpose is simply the process of becoming.
Yeah, love it.
It's that simple.
The process of becoming.
Being on that path.
Awesome. With that being said, Justin, where can somebody get a hold of you?
Yeah, JustinThorstad.com, YouTube at Mindset Coach JT, Facebook, Instagram, all the usual suspects, and my cell phone, 602-348-8534.
Isn't it crazy that people don't use the phone?
Dude.
People will not use the cell phone number, even though they want to reach out to you.
Yeah.
So
it's strange.
Yeah.
Don't be weird.
It's strange. All right. Do us a favor. If you like the podcast, even if you don't like it, I don't care if you don't like it. I'm confident about it.
Share the hate. That's okay.
Yeah. Share the hate. Subscribe, like, and share the hate. Rafael Cortez, CEO on YouTube. Hit me up on social media. I'm pretty active on IG and all those channels as well. And send this to somebody who you think might benefit from just listening to us, And again, we say this every single week. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way conversation. Send us your messages. Let us know if there's a topic that you want to talk about. We've actually had viewers in the past, come in and sit down with us and the podcast. So
that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So with that being said, fam, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay focused. You got this. Let's go.